We don't need to clap in or out like that because we're not syncing out. It's just live raw feed.
Yeah,
Let's just go for it.
we're recording.
Are we going live or?
No, we're not going live now. I'm
Ah,
going to upload this pretty much as soon as we're done.
all right, fair enough. Cool.
Okay, hello, welcome to Bears E3 Picnic, the nightly show this week over E3 where we bring you yesterday's news today. Joined by Connor from Comics Unmasked, and he's in many other podcasts on the internet.
You might have seen me around somewhere.
Jordan, who you might remember from the Dice Fools in Space.
In space.
And, last and certainly least, Matt. He is he's everywhere on this channel anyway. Apart from Comics Unmasked.
So far, yeah. I have read and comic before.
Hey, if we do a Superman episode, we'll get you on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we still need to do a Superman Train of Thought episode.
I'm half tempted to mash the two things together.
I think maybe a week. Special week where we actually have a train of thought between the two of us, and then we.
It's a real shame you didn't plan this because yesterday, as we recorded, that was Superman Day.
Yeah, I never knew. I didn't realize until halfway through the day.
Yeah,
they don't make
because
they seemingly
because unlike Batman Day, you didn't get a month's notice.
Yeah, Batman Day, marketing, free comics, everything. Superman Day is like, guess it's a thing.
I think I'd looked it up at some point, and I think I'd even mentioned it for scheduling.
To be fair, both of them are relatively modern inventions.
Yeah,
and really, I think
like 5 or 6 years usually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Superman Day exists because DC probably got a little bit fed up of having to justify Batman Day.
Yeah,
pretty much. They didn't even do a Superman sale on Comixology. It's Green Arrow. It's like, that was a weird choice.
Is it not? Is his 80th issue out this week?
No.
That is an odd choice. You would have thought you'd time that with the... Because it is his 80th anniversary this month, Green Arrow.
It is, yes. I think it's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, this is not E3 related news, but for anyone who is interested in the anniversaries of...
No, this is our build up to DC fandom in while watching E3.
Okay, so first off, a little bit of a pre-E3 news. Last Friday, Ratchet and Clank, a rift in space.
Time.
Rips apart.
Rifts apart.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank titles, they're all very similar.
Yeah. I mean,
tools of rifting part in time.
Yeah.
Destruction.
I mean, at least one of us actually owns this, don't you, James?
Two of us own it.
I own it.
Yeah. I mean, the one who's masquerading as a presenter
doesn't know the title.
doesn't know the title and has been playing it.
Anyway, I refuse to pay £70 for a game at launch now. It's just too much.
I want to if they didn't crunch, I'll give them their due.
There's fair points to that.
Yeah. I think I mean there is that. I think there's also the production quality that you've got to take into consideration with something like
game.
Well, I mean, with Insomniac as a whole, like the.
Well, this would actually be a lot of what mine and Connor's unrecorded conversation was about last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's they do put out very, very high quality. I mean, I think they have set the benchmark. We were talking before any of the E3 stuff started, actually, saying that I suppose Microsoft in particular, having an actual showcase, really have something to live up to. Like, they've got some big games potentially in the horizon.
Yeah.
That, including, hopefully for them, Halo Infinite, that now have some really big shoes to fill. Because of what Ratchet and Clank has done.
See,
yes, different games. Like I'd fully admit that, but and obviously different audiences.
I've had the thought process that maybe we should, because Microsoft seems less inclined to hunt that cinematic style, that maybe we should start treating Microsoft as much as in similar ways to which we treat Nintendo. They make
They're
what
happy
they
to
make.
A game.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that ultimate like graphical fidelity is not necessarily what they're aiming for.
Which I think I prefer. Don't get me wrong, I like nice, pretty shiny graphics. Who doesn't? But that doesn't make up for a subpar game. Not that I'm saying that a lot of Sony's games are subpar, but just as a rule, I would rather have a game that plays well than
That
looks
said,
nice.
Ratchet and Clank in the performance with ray tracing mode, it is
1440p, right? Still
1440 still. Yeah, it's
And no worse than 1080.
it looks
with
stunning.
obviously upscaling on. Yeah.
not surprising, given that. Honestly, I thought the last Ratchet game looked fantastic when that launched.
It plays like a Ratchet game, which always, plays well. It plays like an Insomniac game, which always plays well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
of course, they have been teasing that Sunset Overdrive might be finally coming to the PlayStation as well. We might see that later in the week, maybe.
I don't know where we'd see it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it this week. Sony
I'd expect
doing
it Sony's event next month if it's going to happen.
Have they got an event next month?
Yeah, Sony and EA are next month, so we might do this whole shebang for them. As well.
I mean, I think Sony's is in particular probably going to be interesting enough. EA's, I don't know.
So the next bit of pre news, although I guess technically E3 adjacent, Elden Ring is real and is coming out on a date it's never gonna hit, which is January.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it's not for me, but it looks pretty good. Like,
it looks like a From Software game,
which I really don't like most of them. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice is the only one I could really get on with. It felt a bit more fluid. Maybe Elden Ring will fall into that.
I don't have the skill for them generally.
That's the skill's not my problem. It's just like the Souls games in particular just feel slow and clunky to me.
I'm not really seeing, and this might come across in the plot, but I'm not really seeing either the Miyazaki or the Martin kind of.
No, not really. It looks like a From Software game.
I know it's meant to be
right?
based on Irish folklore, which might be where famously not Irish George R.R. Martin is using.
It's all that he does right, though. He just writes old Irish folktale. So, yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those. I watched it and it did give me that little thing of like, I wish I could play it. I know I'm not going to.
I do that every single time they put one out. I'm like, I'm going to play it this time. I'm going to enjoy it. And then I hate it. I hate it after like 2 hours. I'm like, why did I waste my money on this every single time?
So our main discussion today is going to be on Ubisoft.
Yep.
Before we get to Ubisoft, I'm just going to put Gearbox out of their misery.
Oh, God.
Gearbox had something.
I'm not sure it can be called a conference.
It was interesting.
If you want to watch Randy Pitchford look very awkward on a film set, it's out there.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like.
Although again, it was sort of cool in a way. Like
they'd already announced the Tiny Tina's Wonderland game, and they didn't really show us anything more of that than they announced the other day.
It's the sort of thing where about 15-20 minutes of the half-hour show was on the Borderlands movie set, and I feel like, well, maybe if they had saved the casting announcements for this, it would have felt like it had something to it.
For Wonderland,
I get you.
That Wonderland game, I think, is right up my street. Fantasy Borderlands, yep, sign me up.
What I do think though with this, I mean that looked great. I think with the film, though, is this will, with it being Eli Roth and the source material as well, this could be the thing that scratches that Zack Snyder itch without having to watch a Zack Snyder film. Like visually and like the brainless but joyful brainlessness, I think is going to be. Could be quite wonderful with this.
I mean, maybe the movie. I think some of the casting choices are weird. Like Kevin Hart as the main soldier, Roland. I think.
Yeah.
Like that's a weird choice.
I kind of like it, like because it's not like he isn't in incredible shape, and he's proven in things like the latest Jumanji films where that he can do some action roles, and he is quite funny. So if the Borderlands games are built on their humor as
Knowing
much as.
But Roland isn't a funny character.
Mm,
He's the straight man.
But also knowing how much fun Kate Blanchett had with Eli Roth on House with a Clock in the Walls. Great film.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens there. But yeah, for Homeland 3 got announced. It could probably been announced in a tweet for how they announced it.
Yeah.
it was odd because I have no affiliation, or emotion towards it. I can't even remember the Homeland games.
And then
So
about a month before it's a year old, or a couple of months before it's a year old, Godfall, the next gen exclusive game, is coming on last gen.
Yes.
With an expansion. And it's like, that's also a weird announcement. And I guess they want people to play it. And no one has a PS5 right now because of...
And the people who do have a PS5 didn't give a shit about Godfall.
Yes.
For the most part.
I really enjoyed the first announcement for it. I really enjoyed it. But I think it was because they had a very good marketing team, but like a promo team behind it. I went, oh, this music slaps. I love the visuals of all of this. I'm gonna get this, and then it came to release. I was like,
I was at the first kind of reveal of stuff. I thought, okay, a hack and slash looter shooter, that could be fun. But the more I saw of it, it looked like it didn't have the gameplay to back it up. It just looked like it would get old within an hour.
But yeah, and that was Gearbox's entire event. Godfall coming to PS4. Homeland 3 happening, and Fantasy Borderlands, which again is something I'm excited for, but none of it's justified an entire half-hour slot of.
I suppose at least it was only half an hour.
Yeah, but if you take out all the movie stuff, it's 10 minutes.
Yeah, but then if it had been a physical stage presentation, like at a classic E3 kind of situation. Like that, a half hour would have really dragged.
Well, that's why Gearbox have never had a stage presentation before, because
if I was
they
Gearbox,
don't have anything to do.
I would have probably just got Microsoft to pay me to announce most of that stuff.
Yeah.
But
except for the PlayStation game.
Yeah. But that's that. That was Gearbox. Not much else to say about it. So I'll throw us over to Jordan, the resident Ubisoft fan.
That is a strong thing. Like, I enjoy my Ubisoft. I won't say I'm a huge fan, mainly because some of their practices are a bit odd. But I like most of their IPs. I'm a big fan of. Assassin's Creed.
I would say out of the four of us, you
without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ubisoft's conference, Jord.
I mean, it was a thing. It was there. They said a couple of things. It wasn't. They've done a lot better in the past, I think.
Yeah. I miss the days of Tyler just hosting them.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
I miss the days of the 15-minute Just Dance opening.
Yes.
At least it had flair and character. It was like, okay, I know what I'm getting into with an Ubisoft conference when it opens with like a dancing panda or something.
Yeah.
It had fun to it. Whereas this time, even the Just Dance thing was buried in the middle. It was like a 2-minute thing of, hey, I'm this guy and my song's on Just Dance next year.
I was asleep while that was happening.
I don't know who he was, but
I wonder how much.
I know who he was, but it was like it felt like a very almost niche target.
Is that the equivalent of like when we used to get Microsoft bring out a car for whatever Forza game was being announced, or when EA bring out a footballer to talk about FIFA?
Yeah, sort of. He's a fairly significant choreographer, and he's a very often a guest judge and star on RuPaul's Drag Race. So obviously that's hugely popular as well. So I think they're trying to potentially bring some of that market to Just Dance. And so obviously anyone that knows him.
I think that like in terms of that sort of cross marketing, that always works when you're aiming for your TV spots, your the cinema
Yeah.
spots that they sometimes do when you're hitting that wider public. I don't think these sorts of cross promotions ever work at E3 because the people watching E3 are the gamers. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are some gamers who enjoy Just Dance.
I guess in theory,
that's fine. But
out of all the conventions, though, E3 is probably the one that has the most outside coverage as well, as in outside of industry coverage.
It probably is, yeah.
I think it's just because it hits differently over like this sort of non-live platform.
Yeah.
Like I imagine that Ubisoft, because they usually get like, don't they get like orchestras in to do some fun stuff sometimes, or the stage stuff, like you're saying, the stuff with Ice Tyler is always amazing because it's very fluid and loose. It feels like you're watching a theatre show effectively, whereas this sort of, it doesn't, like the Just Dance stuff, you don't feel as into it because
this is what we're seeing this year is everyone's been forced to do this type of presentation that Nintendo have been doing for years.
Yeah.
And Nintendo have mastered the craft of these presentations. They know how to have a flow and fun with them, and most of the people haven't figured that out yet. I mean, even Sony have been doing like very focused ones, so they haven't had to flow between lots of different things like we get at an E3 presentation.
I mean, when Sony do it, like when Sony did the last big-ish one that they did with multiple games on it, they had barely any talking, like barely any presenters. They just went, right, fuck it. There's the trailer.
It was just a reel, and then it was just, here's a title card, and then next game.
Yeah, and that worked. Like, that was fine, because you kind of knew what was coming. And then there was the bare minimum amount of talking, just to kind of wrap it all up, and that was fine. Whereas, like, the Ubisoft one, like, they were game devs, I think, or leads of the studio, certain studios, or what have you, and...
We're in a weird off year for Ubisoft in the fact that Ubisoft's biggest releases this year are stuff they've already announced and shown.
Far Cry is probably their biggest thing.
Yeah, like they and
which is coming out like nearly a year late.
I've warned everyone. I mean, I'd argue the big announcement here was Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction,
which we already knew about when it was called Quarantine.
Yeah, but
because
we hadn't seen it to this level.
Yeah.
And first off, I've warned everyone, but here is a mini rant. What does Tom Clancy even mean as an IP anymore? Like, I've read Rainbow Six back in the day. I'm pretty sure there wasn't any aliens in it. Like, I could be wrong. I might be misremembering it, but...
Oh, yeah. That little book, that little prologue at the end.
Yeah, from what I'm aware, Tom Clancy was always relatively realistic military espionage fiction.
Yeah.
Which is why the early Tom Clancy tie-ins, even the ones that he didn't necessarily write, but
look
had
at what
some
Rainbow
sort
Six
of...
used to be, kind of back
or even early Splinter Cell, or
Ghost
like
Recon.
the early Ghost Recons and stuff. Yeah. But I suppose this is... It felt like it was another game that they realised they couldn't sell unless they slapped a big badge on it. Like,
no, I think it's weird about it is...
But it's full of Rainbow Six, like, I think it's full of... I don't think it's...
all the operators from Rainbow Six.
Yeah, so I don't think it's ever meant to not be a Rainbow Six game, like...
No, but it's weird because it feels like a game that's 5 or 7 years too late. In the sense that it feels like if this was 5-6 years ago, where this was coming after all the Horde gameplay, like, you know, when you had COD Zombies, Halo had it, Gears of War had it, everyone was doing the Horde modes. This feels like an entire game of that.
We might be having a bit of a research. It feels like this could tap into the same market that Warner Bros. Back for Blood could tap into. That type cooperative shooter. I liked that it seems that stealth is an important factor. I've been playing a bit of Payday 2 recently, and this felt like it could scratch that same itch. I think a 3-player count as opposed to a 4-player count is odd. Like, it feels like more people have a group of 4 people ready to play than 3 people. Like, 3 people seems like the kind of number.
It's when you find out which member of your group's the least important.
Yeah. But it looked like it could be a very fun game.
It doesn't look bad, no.
Especially if it's your kind of thing. And
I think if it is your thing, it looks like it's going to be good fun. Obviously, it will have all of the things they've learnt from Rainbow Six over the years, like as far as shooter mechanics go. It's just obviously a new twist to it, which is fair enough. But I do get your point, James, in that like, does it need to be to
It's
have that
more.
Tom Clancy badge on it?
I,
Like,
I'm just fascinated with the idea of Ubisoft owning an IP that is essentially a deceased author.
yeah, they almost own the Tom Clancy NFT in a way. Like, like, like
God.
he doesn't exist anymore. He's just this badge.
Ooh.
Like,
And that's the thing, but no
so,
one is out there publishing like Tom Clancy named. I mean, Tom Clancy films are still coming out. You've got Amazon's
Yeah.
Jack Ryan series, and
mm.
that's the thing. Ostensibly, this weird alien stuff is set in the same world as Amazon's Jack Ryan.
No, just don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am just thinking about
Yeah,
it too
'cause
hard.
it's not like it's even like they did with Metal Gear Survive, where like it was like, hey, look, parallel universe. Like, you know, this piece of tech that most people actually never managed to unlock in the main game, will now make an entire game around the concept of this piece of tech, and now you're in a parallel universe. Kill some zombies, please. Like,
But-
And then it was terrible.
and guess who bought it me as a present?
I bought it, Matt, as a present. That was
I was
only
gonna
because you were
ask.
convinced
Yeah.
it was worth it.
Just to see his face of disgust.
No, Matt was convinced it was going to be like the best thing ever, so we had it reduced at work, so I just bought him as a present.
Was it reduced at work after about a week?
I think it might have been out about 6 months at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. When everyone knew what it was like.
But yeah, negativity about Tom Clancy aside, I think the
Well,
game
not
looks like
about Tom Clancy.
no, not about
it
Tom
is
Clancy
Tom
himself,
Clancy,
about
yeah.
Tom Clancy,
Yeah.
the
We're
IP.
not
The
about
brand.
to-
Yeah,
You're not about to make some massive revelations now about Tom Clancy.
no negativity about Tom Clancy, the IP or brand aside.
Hmm.
I
The NFT.
Yeah.
it looked fun. It did.
Yeah, I think if you're into it, then
Which
like, it will do very well.
I think moves us along to you, Matt, and Riders Republic,
God damn yes. Yes. Now,
which
for
I
the
believe
longest-
is almost the culmination of a video game you've wanted to exist for a very long time.
but from a different publisher. What I've wanted for a very long time, and I still tweet about it and still tag the very people or teams or what have you, because why the fuck have you not done it? Is I wanted an EA Big World. So have SSX, so a mountain range in a large open world. Essentially, what I wanted was a family-friendly Grand Theft Auto Online. So where you can traverse around, that you can do some snowboarding or some skiing up in the mountains. You can have skate in the city. You could have Burnout, or even a bit of Need for Speed or a bit of both. And then of course, like, not that I'm necessarily into their like pure sports games, but the Street series, that a bit like with Grand Theft Auto 5, where you can rock up and you can play some tennis, or you can play various other sports, like go on a basketball court or something. That like turn up at a little football field, little five-a-side pitch, and the FIFA Street dynamics.
Well, I mean,
are there for you to use.
The cynic in me says the reason they haven't made this is they can sell you all those games individually.
They
not
can.
that they are selling FIFA Street and haven't for like a decade.
I mean,
but
that's the thing, that like they did some little FIFA Street-ish thing the other year that wasn't
Yeah.
FIFA Street. That was
I forgot
not-
that existed because it didn't count.
Was that
And they
FIFA
only-
for the Switch?
No, it was
No,
an actual like side game.
I was making a joke, but
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
Might as well be.
Yeah. Yeah. But they released, but the thing was, they released that as a relatively cheap game. So what I would say is that, like, with those games, yes, sell them all individually as a single unit, and that's where you get the entire content for whatever that particular game is. But then that gives you access to an online world where you create your own avatar, and then you can do all this traversal.
It feels like an evolution to what they wanted with Steep, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which was all the snow sports.
Yeah. Except Steep was massively bugged. Like,
well, this might be it.
Oh yeah, but I mean, there was a very significant bug in just the tutorial section of Steep.
I believe Steep got cleaned up though. I think it's meant to be pretty decent now.
Oh no, but I mean the thing is that like by the time it made to PS Plus, which was significantly after it came out, that bug was still there. They hadn't managed to get rid of it.
Oh.
So a game that again, I mean,
it's on Game Pass now, optimized for service consoles.
I mean, I think if you got past it, then you were fine. It was just that like there was one mission, well, not even mission, just one objective for you to do, and if you couldn't do it, that was it. That was the entire game over. You couldn't even get through the tutorial section. So like you essentially had to restart the whole game, which meant like a agonizing amount of time setting your avatar up again and all sorts, and it just put you off immediately because you hadn't had any fun at that point whatsoever. And it was a shame because it was stunning to look at, and you could see that like once you got into it, it was going to be incredible. But there was just that tiny little gate that for some people that gate was locked, and I was one of them, unfortunately. And I just deleted it from my hard drive, and I've not installed it again. So I'm fingers crossed.
Ubisoft never have any bugs in their games, so
never.
No. I'm sure it'll be completely fine.
I mean, I hope so, because I do think it looks like something that I could sink literally weeks into.
They've been working on it for a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been delayed a couple of times.
Yeah. Which
I mean, it's a huge project. That's the thing. But the thing is that, like, as much as, like, say, people have a negativity towards games as services and maybe they're a hit, maybe they're not, I think this is legitimately one that, especially now it's fairly early doors in the console generation, that if it comes out, this could last the whole generation.
With, well, this is,
admittedly paid for, like add-ons and etc.
Are you saying that this is this generation's Rainbow Six Siege? Because that thing has been going and going.
6 years now, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it could do. That's the thing. I mean, obviously, it won't be exactly the same, but like different market. But it could do for the sports market. What Rainbow Six Siege has done for the co-op shooter market. Like, there is that potential. They've just got to make sure that there's no shitty little bugs that won't let you get past the tutorial.
Hopefully, that's why they delayed it so much. Is because they knew it wasn't in the right place.
It does look like it could be great. I would be very tempted to pick it up.
I think if it's intuitive enough as well, and given the variety of sports, because it's not like, say, like going back to the old SSX days, where if it wasn't quite your thing and you weren't quite good enough at that particular thing, you then couldn't enjoy the wonderful world that they created in these incredible levels and what have you. Like, because you've got a choice of vehicles and what have you to traverse around, that there is that thing that you might be able to. It might be that there is something for almost everyone.
You might hate the bikes, but you love paragliding.
Yeah,
I don't know if paragliding's a thing, but
it is.
Wingsuits definitely are.
Wingsuits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're like jetpack ones.
They are jetpack ones. Yeah.
That's even cooler.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing that, like, if none of them have to be perfect, but if all of them are good enough and intuitive enough to pick up, then all four of us could find the thing in that game that tickles us.
It's the sort of game I suspect I would never buy, but if I ever happen to have Ubisoft Plus for a month or two for something else that came out that I didn't want to pay full price for, but I knew I could just knock out in a month, maybe I'd give it a try while I was there and see how I liked it.
We
definitely.
We got a trailer for a pretty fun-looking horror comedy movie based on a video game IP no one knew Ubisoft had.
Yeah, because when did they ever make a game from that?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's a board game. Or at least it's, again, whatever video game IP it is roughly based on a kind of tabletop game that's been around forever and also isn't owned like lots of different people have made different iterations. It's Werewolf. Like,
yeah,
there's tons of different board game companies that made variations on Werewolf. It's like, it's effectively, you know, as kids when you'd play the where you all closed your eyes and you killed someone and you went round in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
It's effectively Werewolf is a slightly more complex version of that. And I'll stress, you didn't kill people in real life. It was a part of the the fiction of the game. You didn't just close your eyes and murder someone.
I played it wrong.
But film looked fun. Directed by is it Josh Rubin?
Mm-hmm.
From College Humor.
Mm.
Yeah, looks a laugh.
Yeah, and it, like, as far as like gaming studios getting into like TV and movies, actually, it doesn't look like it was too ambitious as well.
Yeah,
I think it did look like almost.
You're saying Ubisoft maybe learn and scale back a little bit?
well, after Creed.
Yeah.
We just pick a slightly less like prominent IP.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the prominent IP sell.
It turns out that they are the
Just
production
don't do
company
very well
behind
filmed.
Apple TV's Mythic Quest as well.
Oh yeah, we knew that because they
I didn't realise that myself.
they announced Mythic Quest at
Oh.
an Ubisoft E3 conference a few years ago.
Ah,
I did know. I don't. You
Yeah.
see, I don't even remember that. But then I watched the Ubisoft one so infrequently. Like this is
No.
like.
I only remember because they had Rob McElhenney out announcing it at their conference.
Assassin's Creed DLC.
Yes, is this part of the season pass? I wasn't clear. Is this part of the season pass that's already there, or is this another one that's after the two they've already announced?
I think it's
a new one.
Because we have Wrath of the Druids, and I think that's just come out,
Yeah.
and then there's
Yeah.
the Siege of Paris that's coming up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think this is another one after that.
So I'm assuming this won't be part of the season pass
No.
that
No.
already exists.
because this will be on their next year of content for it.
Year 2.
Which, honestly, I'm okay with if it means that we can stick with the bi-yearly schedule for Assassin's Creed games.
Or even longer. I mean, let's face it. Like, if it means we get a bit more variety out of Ubisoft, because it's not like they don't have the variety of IP that they own, but if it means that they can do a higher quality iteration of each one, then fair enough. Especially
Yeah, I
if
think
they
these last few where they've been bi-yearly have been pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you go back to, like, say, Assassin's Creed 2, that was 3 games that were essentially Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
So, in the modern way of delivering those games, if it's a season pass that lasts for 2 or even 3 years, that game gets more and more and more content, as opposed to releasing.
It's why we'll probably never see the same protagonist over multiple games again, because why just release an update and here's another DLC with that character instead on that game rather than
Because
bringing
Brotherhood
them back.
was built. They started that as a DLC, I think, didn't they? And then they went.
It
"This is
did,
getting-"
It got too big and they were like,
Yeah.
let's just make it its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which
then, of
is
course,
fair enough.
You do a second, you have to make a third.
I mean,
So-
that's how the whole franchise started. It started as a Prince of Persia game, and then all of a sudden they were like, we kind of went a bit off track with this. This might be something else now. Which, speaking of, notably, no update on Prince of Persia
I was gonna
remake
say, yeah.
No.
No,
or
I think
remaster,
there's-
whatever they're calling it.
I think there's been a lot of negativity towards that. Unfairly so, I think, because it's such a tiny little studio with such a micro budget that was quite obviously this was Ubisoft saying, "Go on, have a little dabble. You can take one of our more beloved IP, and it is the era of remakes or remasters or reskins or what have you. Have a crack." And then everyone seems to have been a bit.
It looked fine. I don't think it looked that bad. Like,
No.
I'm wrong. It
No.
wasn't blowing me away, but it's a game that's what, like 16 years old.
Yeah, we're
17,
talking about
something like
PS.
that.
We weren't just doing up a PS3 or a PS4 game. It was a
Yeah.
PS2 game.
Yeah, and I
Well,
don't
it
think
was
they're remaking it to the same extent that they did with something like Crash
Resident
Bandicoot
Evil.
No.
or
Yeah.
Resident Evil. It's more of a let's just get it looking good
A
enough.
remaster
It's
as
more of
opposed
a
to
it's more of a let's fix a PS2 game as opposed to let's completely remake a PS2 game.
Yeah.
So they've done a bit of tweaking to the gameplay and stuff like that. And
so
um,
the next big announcement at the event was Far Cry's season pass. No,
I'll let you continue. I'll tell you when you get to the big one.
what have I missed?
I'll tell you later. After this one.
Okay, well, Far Cry season pass. We got Far Cry 6 was shown off. We got what I assume is one of the opening cinematics.
yeah,
Probably. I hated the smugness of the introduction of this though, where they were like, "Oh, we're going to show you some of our post-launch plans." I'm like, "You haven't even shown me your pre-launch plans yet." Like,
And
let me see the game
plans
first.
they showed were like, the villains are coming to what? What is it? All I know is
Yeah, I
that the
wasn't sure
villains are coming.
it popped up at the end with like Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I'm like,
That's
is it a
cool.
Blood Dragon remake? Like,
No, it's just like Far Cry 5 had a Far Cry
Blood Dragon
3
as well.
bundled in with it. It was just a re-release.
I don't know what it was meant to be.
It's some kind of gameplay where you play the villains from the previous games, but we didn't show any of it. It was just a trailer kind of showing the villains being villainous
yeah.
and charming and, Far Cry villains.
It looked like they're going on. I don't know. Again, I think it looks like that sort of
Like maybe
alternate
someone's
universe
kidnapping
sort of
all
thing,
these
or-
villains.
or through like a psychedelic trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so it is they're two separate things. So it is you play as all the villains and just do some backstory stuff. It seems a new gameplay experience in which you will have to die and retry, with the ultimate goal being to escape the mind of a villain. And then on top of that, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is just being included in the season pass.
Which is what we did last time round with Far Cry 3, which I'm fine with.
Seems weird, like, because when we had the Assassin's Creed Odyssey season pass, that came with the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster
Yes.
included. Which, okay, fine, that's a full remaster. It's just straight up the original version.
I don't think they've remastered it, no.
No, which is
But
a strange choice.
It doesn't exist outside of PS3 store?
Does it not?
I don't know.
Physical
Did it
media.
ever move over to the PS4 Xbox gen? I mean, it would exist for Xbox because, how
Yeah.
backwards compatibility works there. But I'm not sure if it would exist on Sony consoles right now.
Probably
You
wouldn't.
might be correct about that. I think Xbox, I'm assuming, could play it. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
Unless they never made it back compat for some reason, but it seems like a weird omission if they didn't.
But you'd get it anyway, so... Yeah, it's cool. I have no qualms with it. I think we should have shown us more about whatever the actual season pass was. If you don't want to show us Far Cry 6 and we just want to show us the season pass, show us the season pass.
I feel like they've not showed us enough Far Cry 6 actual gameplay yet.
I feel like there's
There
been a
was
fair
a
amount
good
of it shown.
trailer. There was a good trailer the other week that showed quite a lot of gameplay, like in how varied it is.
And it
I mean,
is
just like, like in the conference style, here's a 6-minute kind of run through of some stuff.
It is going to be at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah, there is that as well, isn't there? Yeah. I think the problem I'm having with it is yet again it looks like a Far Cry that teases some story that isn't necessarily going to give me.
Well, that's
what I
because,
But Matt,
don't
it's
forget,
not political.
it's not political.
It's not political, yeah. Like, like
over nothing political about overthrowing dictators. It's
No, nothing. I will give Ubisoft the slight benefit of the doubt in that the statement was clarified in that it was taken out of context and it is not a political statement about Cuba specifically, which
fair enough.
fine.
Yeah, fair
But-
enough.
Yeah.
It's more the fact
Yes.
that they got this flack last time, didn't they? So it's just becoming a run-in. And then you've got EA getting the flack with Battlefront, saying there's nothing political about a future where the climate change is killing off the planet. Like,
Yes.
we just think mass disasters are fun.
I mean,
They're not wrong.
I know we're jumping in time to what we're supposed to be talking about tomorrow, but I just watched that trailer that was on the Microsoft conference, and again, not a game for me. I'll be terrible at it, but good grief, did that look good? Like, so. Yeah.
So, what did I miss, Jord?
The biggest announcement I think was actually Mario versus Rabbids.
Yeah, how the hell did I forget?
I
What is
mean,
wrong with you?
that's the. I think that was.
It's not versus. It's plus.
It's X. It's
Plus
Mario X Rabbids, isn't it? You know, like
Yeah, Mario Cross Rabbids.
Yeah.
It's plus.
Mario's times Rabbids.
No, it's Mario Cross Rabbids. You know, like how crossovers are done these days, Matt. Get with the times.
The original was plus, so maybe this is times because the first one was plus.
And what the final one of the trilogy would be Mario Divide Rabbids.
They're going through the Ed Sheeran album naming.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be.
I have no doubt it's gonna be great.
Oh, I love it.
I know for a fact this is not a basic Switch release. This is Switch Pro.
Well, we're not
or Super
getting the
Switch,
Switch Pro announced, are we? Nintendo confirmed this was software only at E3.
No, but did you not notice the fact that this did not come up with a Switch logo at the end of its trailer? This left it conspicuously blank.
They did say it is for
They
Switch.
said Switch, but they didn't put the Switch logo on it on the trailer.
Also, Nintendo leaked it for them like a.
They did, yes.
Day before.
But this is the exact same thing that Ubisoft did with Watch Dogs back.
It is, yes.
Before the PS4 and Xbox One launched, where they showed the trailer, and it was like clearly looked too good to be a 360 PS3 game, and they just left it blank with what consoles it was on. And I was like, right, okay, because it hadn't been announced yet. Yeah. And I feel like this just looks too good to be running on a regular Switch because it looks gorgeous.
It does look really nice, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Also, that first game is like a top 5 Switch game for me. It's a top 3 Switch exclusive, I would say.
It's XCOM
top 4
for Switch.
Yeah, it is. It's very accessible XCOM.
Yeah,
and it's very good.
It's quite hard. I got stuck. I'm still stuck on a bit of it, and I've just not found a way. I've not got. I need to go back to it to sort of try again.
The challenge. They did like challenge rooms. I think they might part of the DLC pass. Those are tough as shit. Like they are balls hard, but they fair play to them. But and they do give you fair warning. Like these are hard.
Yeah.
But it's a really good game.
So, game of Ubisoft show then. I assume us three are going for Mario Rabbids, and then potentially big sports game.
You've forgotten Rocksmith Plus, obviously.
I didn't forget Rocksmith Plus.
Rocksmith looks good.
It looks fantastic. Like
if you're after Rocksmith Plus,
like
if it works as it's supposed to, it's probably extremely good. But I just doubt that it works that well.
Yeah, I mean there is that. I think it's one of those things that like it feels like a purchase for someone who owns entirely Apple products and can't quite justify why they own Apple products. I mean, and I own a Mac. I still use my Mac. I don't own an iPhone.
I feel called out.
Yeah, I mean, James is looking very seen right now.
I'm recording all this on a Windows PC.
Yeah, we can see that Mac right next to you.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that like historically, we've had legitimate ins to that, like because of what we've studied at university or previous jobs or that sort of thing. Like there's a reason we've kind of accidentally stuck with that ecosystem or what have you. Like it's not that fashion statement-y thing of like, oh well, I've got my iPhone, so of course when I upgraded my laptop, I got a MacBook Air.
I would still make the argument that if you're willing to go all in on the ecosystem, it is a better.
You're wrong.
No, like it's not buying a Mac if you have an iPhone isn't enough just a fashion statement, why would you not buy the computer that effortlessly syncs with the phone you already have? Like,
Why not just buy a phone that syncs with anything?
because they don't exist outside of, not properly. You have to find workaround. I've done Android. It doesn't just sync with anything. You have to find the appropriate things that go and make it sync.
Yeah, but I plug it into my computer, I drag and drop the files.
Depending on what phone you've got.
Yeah, not every
Xiaomi-
Android phone will do that.
Most of them
Yeah, this doesn't.
do. How?
Yeah, this is a hero. And
Honor.
and Honor,
Yeah.
Honor 3.
Just one of those Chinese ones.
It's a Huawei sister
I mean,
brand.
you have to bear in mind,
Like-
you have a Samsung, right?
I do, yeah.
And Windows and Samsung have that.
Yeah, but
that
even
pairing.
going back to the past, I've had Motorola's, I've had Huawei's, I've had LG's.
Huawei don't tend to do it easily. Motorola's used to because they ran pure Android. They've done it less recently.
My Huawei literally had a thing of just, oh, you're on the same Wi-Fi network? Cool. Drag and drop what you want.
Yeah, it's not. It's a much more of a Wild West style ecosystem, which is there's not a problem with it if you know how to do it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot less kind of just. I can't believe I'm about
What
to
you
say
also
this.
what you also want to try and do, and this is even more fun. Getting this bad boy to send some files to and back. Because then you have to start reading Chinese.
But we're getting well
No.
off the beaten path here.
How did we get to hear from Rocksmith?
Rocksmith.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, as I say, it has that feel of like someone who like almost impulse purchases because they have a certain income and they can afford to do these things like start a hobby they know they're not going to finish. And it's like I'm not going to pay a tutor to teach me the guitar because I've got
If you look at it as an actual teaching tool, I get that. But coming at it as someone who misses the days of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, I'm not saying they're good, but they're fun.
I don't think this is that though. Like,
No,
this doesn't look
I-
remotely like that.
No, it is. That's the thing. When you're actually using it, the way it's laid out is the same. It's just it's on an actual guitar, so it's teaching you. But it still has the same. Here are your 6 strings, and here are the colors that come down the screen at you, and hit them as they come down. It's the exact same methodology.
It felt a
new
lot
one
less
feels
gamey.
Yeah, the new one feels a lot more like this is out not a you're going to play these famous songs on guitar on an actual guitar. It feels a lot more we're going to like this is how you do like slides and stuff like that. It feels a lot more.
The problem is there's no way of playing the old Guitar Hero stuffs anymore because of the licenses they couldn't make them backwards compatible or anything.
You can play PS4 Guitar Hero.
I mean, I could, but they shut down the servers for Guitar Hero Live, so you've got the bass songs, and there's only like 30 songs, and that's it. Yeah, so that's kind of like a dead system. There's Power Hero on the PC, which I'd love. It looks fantastic. It's like a free download, and people upload and create their own songs. Put their own versions of songs on that you just kind of pick and choose from. But finding a compatible guitar is a challenge. It seems, and getting adapters to get them into the PC, which is a shame.
Well, I do have a question for you all before we move on to our final part.
I take it we are doing Devolver because I did manage to squeeze that in.
We are, and my final question is: are any of you 3 people the people who bought the non-fuckable tape?
Well, no.
Have we all
I
seen
wish.
Devolver?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what, the reason I didn't is because I have never watched a Devolver conference. And I'm scared to jump in because I know they have like continuing gags. I'm like, I'm going to be so lost. I'm so scared to jump in.
This was a semi-reboot to the ongoing Devolver plotline.
I've not seen any of the previous ones, and I watched it, and I was pleasantly.
Like, I always know that
Yeah.
the reputation is, these are really fun and entertaining and quirky. But I know they've got like continuing storylines.
They also have
year to year.
They always start it with a previously on.
Oh, do they?
As well.
This was almost the antithesis of the Gearbox. This felt like as much as Gearbox wants to think that they're funny, and
What with the
wants to
Gearbox
think
University bit?
yeah, this
Mm.
was like this was another level.
So
And
Devolver launched Devolver Max Pass Plus. Their monetization as a service.
yeah,
Has anyone been to the website? I haven't actually.
I have.
I
Yeah.
have. Yes, yeah. It does
So
exist.
you
It's
could.
just-
It's sold out now, but you could buy the suit and you could buy the tape.
Yeah,
So Devolver Max Pass Plus is a free subscription service that allows you to purchase premium games.
Nice.
And that was their whole
yeah.
That was their bit.
shtick throughout the. I love Devolver conferences. For the past few
This
years,
was-
they've been nailing, skewering the industry in with satire. Like,
I mean, this was another level. This was like very, very good comedy. Like not just like for a games conference.
Yeah.
But like this was something that like this could have been made for TV. This could have been like almost a Black Mirror episode kind of thing. If it were just a touch darker, like there was a wonderful like this was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think yeah, sure, Microsoft are going to deliver some bigger bangers, and they're going to and Nintendo might drop the Switch Pro on us or something like that. There'll be bigger news in other conferences, and even if Sony were doing a conference, like Sony's would have big things. This would be the best conference by a mile.
which no, I say I've enjoyed them for the past several years. What were you
Are
going to say,
they-
George?
I was just gonna say, are they? They're actors, right? Or are
I'm
they?
still not 100% certain.
They are. I'm sure they're actors because I think the taller, slightly Middle Eastern-y, Turkish-looking girl, the one that brought the hot dogs in,
Yes.
Yeah.
during the suit scene. I'm sure it's her that is at least the scan for one of the characters in Last of Us 2. She looks almost identical, so she isn't. Like, apologies. But like she, I'm sure she is. Which again, it didn't necessarily break the fourth wall for me or anything like that, because obviously it finishes with her almost speaking from the perspective of the actress rather than the
And the thing is,
character that she was playing.
they've had recurring characters in these conferences now for
Years.
yeah, and obviously it ended
yeah.
with them announcing their first NFT,
Yeah.
the non-fuckable tape. The entire conference on a VHS tape with a tab snapped out so it can't be re-recorded over or copied. And they made the point to point out that this is green because, it's just on an old tape we had lying around the office.
It was good.
Yeah.
They had some good games as well.
Yes. So
I mean, that was the thing that like they delivered maybe about 6 games in this as well, and different scales,
So
but they all
I
looked
was-
really good.
gonna say a couple that
Sorry.
took my attention. Wizard with a Gun looked very fun.
Not for me. Well, it did
A
look great.
survival
Yeah.
crafting top-down multiplayer wizard western.
Yeah.
Inscription, right up my street. A deck building roguelike escape room game.
I like the look of it. I don't like my horror, so it feels. I was looking at it going, I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy this, but I don't think I could actually finish it because I'd be crying in the corner by the end of it.
There was
But
Tumble
it did
Time
look good.
coming to mobile phones.
Tumble Time was hilarious as well.
Tumble Time they pitched as the typical mobile phone style.
Yeah.
It took me
Pay
ages
to
to figure
play.
out whether if it was a bit or not.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
Thing is-
the marketing was so good. Was that it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we are gonna like essentially like squeeze cash out of you and
They-
put adverts on. Like, it's free,
They release they release their bits a couple of years ago, and you can still buy it on Steam. They released a compilation game that is just a bunch of knockoffs of other Devolver titles, and you can still go on Steam and buy that right now. They release their bits. That's
What a company.
They announced Demon Throttle, a physical only Switch game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which they ask scalpers to come and buy it as soon as they can.
Yeah.
Nintendo have just gone, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
We don't.
So that
we
is
won't do it,
one exclusive. That's and then they announced another exclusive for Xbox and console exclusive for Xbox. It's coming to PC as well. Death's Door, which is again another top-down roguelike style game. Looks very stylish. Looks very, very fun.
I do like roguelikes.
Yeah. You'd like a lot of Devolver's games.
Do you know what? I always feel that. Yeah, I've never found one that I've loved.
Yeah.
And I look at I think they're a great company.
Yeah.
As far as companies go. But every time I look at the games, I'm like, I should like a lot of these things, and none of them have ever quite clicked.
Because they're a company that's ended up owning Serious Sam, aren't they, as well?
Yeah, I do not like Serious Sam.
Neither do I, but Shadow Warrior 3 was announced, and then what I thought was a very interesting looking game. I have no idea how well it's going to play. Phantom Abyss. A first-person Indiana Jones style puzzle game where you have to whip yourself to things, and
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
You've got you're seeing other players' attempts at it as the same.
Yeah, it's taking that idea from the original Demon Souls of you could see the souls of the previous attempts.
I think they did that in a lot of them where you could leave messages and stuff.
Which is out on PC in 10 days' time, or 9 days' time now.
And that physical only game, Shadow Drop, right now.
Pre-order was right now, I believe.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it was available for release. Let me have
Still, it was cool.
I like how we move straight on to Devolver without doing the big thing from Ubisoft.
I think we've got the same Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is how little of my mind Avatar takes up these days.
The weird thing is, I was like, oh no, James knows about this. He's just kind of doing a bit because he messaged me about this Avatar game half an hour before we started this. He was talking to me about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, he definitely knows it's a thing.
That's how much I think about Avatar on any given.
The correct amount, I would say.
Sorry guys, if anyone's been watching this, you may have left because we didn't mention the Avatar game.
Yeah, I thought you were for some reason saving it for after Devolver.
Yeah, we've already lost you as an audience member at this point.
You've just forgotten.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, talk about Avatar.
Ubisoft.
Should we go back? Let's go back to the game where you use your hair dick to control a horse. So
I noticed we're riding horses and not using them.
They were.
But they did. Yeah, they did. And when when one of them dove onto that pterodactyl thing, they deliberately showed that he was grabbing his hair dick ready to insert.
They were just being very shy about it.
And we got tons of the not aliens, honest colonial marine stuff.
The big mech suits.
Yeah.
Who? Genuine question. Who still cares about Avatar?
Peter.
Yeah, okay, fine. Yes.
I mean, I'm intrigued to see what happens with the new films. The fact that he shot a film almost entirely underwater.
What do you mean film? He shot 4.
Well, yeah, but I mean the first of the sequels is almost entirely underwater, isn't it? So, and got the actors to do it, even to the point that Kate Winslet was doing 7-minute takes underwater with no with no
That's
oxygen
because
apparatus.
James Cameron's a madman. No
The thing
one's
is,
arguing that.
Yeah,
I can't lie.
So
I'm probably
I'll
gonna
be out of intrigue.
I'm probably gonna want to play the Avatar video game just to see what it's like.
I want to see.
Nice and pretty, but that's clearly not representative of the final game.
No, did they give us a release date?
It looked far too good, didn't it?
They already delayed it by 2 years.
They did put a 22 on it, didn't they?
I think so.
No, did they?
I think they did. I think they put a 22 on the end of it.
So,
which would make sense if the first Avatar is out next year.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Because Yves Guillemot made sure that he said, "Oh, it's with the Snowflake engine or whatever it is."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Snowdrop.
Snowdrop. Yeah. And so,
You are
but
correct. According to this, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora will be available on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PC, Luna, and Stadia in 2022.
As if
look,
Stadia's
I mean,
still gonna be putting out new
Yeah,
games.
yes, I know, that was very ambitious.
there were a lot of Stadia things. So
Ubisoft's
far.
big in on the Stadia and the Luna, aren't they?
They
Luna
yeah.
makes more sense to me, but
Why? Because Amazon is more likely to support it.
yeah, basically.
Although Ubi's so
And
big, would they buy Stadia
No.
no,
if they
I
support
don't think
it
Google will
enough?
sell it. But I think as well, like the thing with Luna is, from what I gather, you buy passes for a company, so
It
you can buy
works
the
like
Ubisoft
Amazon
Plus
Video.
pass. Yeah, you know how you buy like channels on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
You buy like that on Luna, so you buy the Ubisoft Plus pass, and you just have access to all the Ubisoft games rather than having to buy them all individually,
Yeah,
like
it's
you
all
do
subscription
on
based, and you
Stadia.
just pick, you tailor the subscription that best suits
Yeah.
you. And if it's anything like channels, it's got to be the kind of thing that you easily just drop in and out of for a month.
I believe it will be, yeah. Which is why I think it has a lot better chance of surviving
Yeah,
than
but
Stadia does.
Luna is not outside of the US at
Yet.
the moment.
Yeah. But Amazon has pretty good infrastructure, so I would expect it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
are we excited for Avatar, the video game?
I'm intrigued.
I need to see more.
I don't think that those graphics will be attained without some absolutely ridiculously expensive PC running on
Here's the thing, though.
like master level.
We're due an Assassin's Creed next year, and this is presumably going to be coming out. If they do hit the 2022 target, they're going to want it out near the film, which is in December.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed's usually November. Like, I'm going to get my Assassin's Creed fix, and that'll be my Ubisoft game, and I'm not going to give a shit about having another one already.
Or what if?
Plot twist: it's Assassin's Creed Pandora.
Oh no! Oh no!
I mean, what was if they're skipping another year with Creed and Avatar is there?
With them doing
Play to them, but I'm just not expecting that.
No.
well, I mean, with
But
them
then look at
doing-
this winter. Ubisoft went with Watch Dogs, Immortals, and Assassin's Creed. All
In
in
the space of about 4 months, something like that.
if that, it felt a lot
If
closer.
that, it might be a lot less.
But I think Watch Dogs was short enough, though, wasn't it?
I've not finished any of them.
I finished Valhalla. Valhalla is very interesting in the way it tells its story for an open world game, in that it's split up into seasons, I want to call them, and each season is split up into, they're quest lines, but they function like episodes. Like, you can see this being adapted for TV as like, okay, here's your 6-season plan in this game, and each plot has 6, 7, 8 episodes. It like, really, as a narrative structure, I would expect to see a lot of games copy Valhalla over the next few years.
Well, I mean, as the potential for TV adaptations of computer games, which probably is more sensible than film adaptations. Just
well,
with how
Ubisoft have a big
dense
deal with
those
Netflix,
games
don't they?
are. Exactly. So, like, maybe actually writing a game with TV in mind, especially if like The Last of Us hits, if that does well critically and commercially, then obviously that opens the door to like Ubisoft in particular with things like that have already
because we've had a couple of like the animated shows recently. We had mainly Netflix, Castlevania, Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah,
those have been pretty successful.
Castlevania was phenomenal.
I haven't watched the last
much
season yet, but I know even to the point where they've already announced, we're going to be doing a spin-off. So, and I know they've got an Assassin's Creed show and a Splinter Cell show in the works for Netflix. So it feels like that's probably. I don't know if they're consciously aware of we need to make this adaptable,
Splinter Cell,
or if it's just that the storytelling naturally kind of lends itself more to that when you're playing a 60 to 100-hour game.
Potentially.
It stops it burning out as easily.
I think it's probably a bit of both, and like, but the thing is that like, if you are smart and you're savvy and you realize that while you're writing it, that this is happening, then you can probably tailor your writing to then go, well, yeah, all right, let's make it so that it is very easily adaptable, so that it can be made actually relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Like we have a working script essentially. So I don't
Well,
know.
on that note,
Devolver quickly to finish off the, or unless you were leading us back to Devolver.
no, what did you want to say about Devolver?
That black and white Ghost of Tsushima slightly 2D looking thing, which
Yes,
looked
that was the
amazing.
first one they announced.
Oh yeah.
Is this not Mark of the Ninja by any chance?
No, it's
Oh, it's Trek to your Yumi.
yeah,
Trek to Yumi.
Yeah, something like
looked
that.
very
Yeah.
good.
I'm
I'm
that
not gonna
looked
lie,
amazing.
every one of Devolver's games looked interesting. If it's the kind of thing that if it's up your street, you would probably enjoy it.
I mean, I'm certainly trying that Trek to Yumi or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Like that looked incredible. With this like slightly 2.5D sort of thing going on, and the beautiful use of black and white and the various contrasts within it, and like, yes, please. Like, um, I I'm not the best at hard modes, so I really hope that it does have an easy-ish mode. Like,
Is it?
um,
It looked quite just like a simple platform. I don't know
Yeah.
how. It felt like a very much. Did you ever play like Valiant Hearts? A bit like.
yeah,
It
yeah, I
felt a bit
think
like
so.
that, but less
Yeah,
shooty.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was an Ubisoft one, right?
Yeah, wasn't it one of
Yeah.
Ubisoft's when Ubisoft
Definitely
had its
not indie games.
indie studios? Yeah,
Yeah.
Ubisoft Originals, Ubisoft Art.
art maybe.
But
I don't know.
actually,
'Cause what are EA's ones called? Because EA have
EA
their
Originals.
ones. EA
EA
Originals,
I think it was Ubisoft
which
Art.
which apparently
Ubisoft,
are
yeah.
very, very good to the creators. I didn't know if I didn't know this until last year. EA makes no profit off those games.
Oh,
Like they give them like a little bit budget and marketing, and obviously they treat that as like an advance, like you would in a book deal. They take that back, and
Yeah.
then all of the profit goes to the indie studio. And so all they get out of it is just they get their money back and they get good publicity, I guess. Which
Which is
not
where-
even in terms of this stuff because they don't shout about that,
I
but in
mean,
terms of
they're
just
getting
having diverse games.
they're getting content for EA All Access.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you then get the thing of like, you can nurture young talent, because at some point you can then say to
Oh, we'll buy
a,
them.
well, I mean, even just a game director or a game writer or something, and say, you've proven yourself. Now we'll give you a big load of money to go and do a Battlefield.
Well, I'm
or
sure it's paying off because It Takes Two. I'm assuming that's an
Yeah.
EA original, given that
It
it's
is, yeah.
Faris again, and
yeah.
obviously they've had a good relationship with him over the years, and that game finally seems to be one that's really blown up commercially and critically this time, as opposed to just one or the other.
I've bought it to play on this channel because only one person needs to own it as well to play it multiplayer.
Oh, really?
The second player can basically just download what's fundamentally a demo client.
Oh, so you can play it on two consoles? I thought you had to play it on the same machine.
No, so if I have it on my PC, for example, and you downloaded the free version on your PC, we could play the
That's
whole thing.
very nice of them.
Yeah.
Like, shockingly nice.
But then if it's
Suspiciously nice, one might say.
if it's a mandatory multiplayer thing that like there is no computer controlled option, you can't do it single player, then like that's really good. Like it is really good. It's nice of them, but at the same time, they know that they need people to play it, and it isn't like it's the old couch co-op era that it was 15 years ago. So essentially allowing that second person in, because it's like James owns it, but it doesn't mean that like any single one of us can be has to be the person that plays the entire game with James. We could switch between us. So it's James's experience because he's paid for it, and we're just his helpers in a way. Like there's no guarantee, really, that we're actually going to be the ones that play the entire game all the way through.
But
So
that,
I do quite like that.
That was, speaking of originals and things like that, that is a bit of language in Ubisoft's conference that made me go, huh. That other games got introduced as, or at least everything but Avatar, as an Ubisoft original. Like, it was very. Pardon?
It's interesting that, because they've never done that before.
No, I noticed it as something very new.
Yeah.
I
It
wonder
was
why.
a bit jarring.
I wonder if it is just so they could make a big deal about Avatar at the end.
Potentially, or maybe it's just how they want to refer to IPs now. And
I think it.
I guess if we're entering the age of subscription services, right, it's like a Netflix original, an Ubisoft original.
Yeah, I think it's pretty noble they ended with an advert for Ubisoft Plus.
Yeah.
Like, it might have been before Avatar, actually, I'm not sure. But it was right at the end either way.
I think
that's
also
the thing, they want you to go out and buy, like, hey, all these things are on Ubisoft Plus.
But again, if you think about, like, say, in the days where we were speculating, could there be a new fourth console participant? Like, you look at how big Ubisoft is now. Ubisoft is almost at that size, with the number of studios that they have, that they could have taken that leap and gone for a physical console. Obviously, because of membership stuff and subscription services and stuff, the way that they've taken over now, they don't have to make that decision of, shall we have an Ubisoft games console? They can just have a digital thing and let you play it on your PC. Or
potentially we're entering that if Microsoft is still saying they're dedicated to consoles, but Game Pass is as much Microsoft's platform.
They also had a thing just the other day, like, hey, we're going to be putting Games Pass into TVs.
Yeah.
Which,
well, they've already got a deal
not?
with Samsung, haven't they? So, like,
Yep, and also potentially coming to things like they announced potentially dedicated Game Pass devices as opposed to, so potentially you might get like a Game Pass version of a Chromecast.
Yeah, so it's an even lighter version of the Series S.
Yeah.
But then if I can understand that, because you probably, like, with the state of cloud gaming at the moment, like, the infrastructure isn't quite there, and then if your machine isn't also quite there as far as having the correct Wi-Fi ability, or so that you can't quite stream fast enough. So having an actual dedicated branded, this Chromecast has been signed off, that it will play Game Pass as a streaming service, then
they're going to turn on, like, you can't stream on an Xbox at the moment. You can stream, you can cloud game on a PC, on a phone, but the minute the Series S is no longer powerful enough to do what it needs to do, Microsoft is just going to turn on cloud gaming on the consoles.
I think it's a matter of just biding their time till they've got the processing power on their end.
Yeah, but
they still need physical hardware to stream this to us on their end. And I feel like the only reason it hasn't already is the shortages that we've been having the past year. That they haven't been able to stock up as much as they wanted to on the back end.
Because in the end, at this point with shortages, it's probably more valuable to send all of those
to consoles, get the upfront cost. And
I'm going to stop us there, because this is all stuff that could be discussed when we're discussing Xbox tomorrow.
That's a good point.
Although I think we'll have a lot more games like to discuss as well.
Well, it's Xbox. There's always going to be more games, isn't there?
So,
and then there's Square tomorrow as well.
Jord is not joining us tomorrow, guys. I don't believe, unless you want to.
I've got Ratchet and Clank to play.
And I will do my best to join you. I still don't know exactly where I will be.
There is a chance it may just be me and Connor tomorrow, guys. Hopefully it'll be for 3 others, but
I will be here to carry this on my back if I have to.
I will have both my phone, which has Discord on it, and my wife's laptop, which I usually do this on, with me tomorrow. as James joked, I might be doing this from the toilet in a restaurant. So we shall see how it goes tomorrow.
Yeah.
How
So,
aggravating.
as long as someone is here to remind me of every single thing I forget to talk about, we'll be.
Well, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm just going to get up one of those recap lists that has
Yeah.
everything announced.
I had
just, like, in
Devolvers
order.
up, but I didn't have Ubisoft's up.
Yeah, and you forgot the biggest thing of all.
Yeah. Avatar.
Yeah.
Mario X Rabbit. What?
Yeah.
Mario Rabbids, yeah.
I would say though, Mario Rabbids is arguably probably
I'd
the
say-
best game that we spoke about tonight.
Yeah,
I'd say it's potentially the biggest game.
It's the biggest.
I think so, yeah.
Like,
No
like
question.
I mean, it's still amazing that Nintendo said yes to Ubisoft.
And then they turned out an actual good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of Switch exclusives, the only things I would put above it for sure are Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Fire Emblem Three Houses. And then it's like, well, then I guess it's Mario Rabbids after that, which is bizarre.
The others are
because,
all
you know-
main Nintendo games.
No one liked the Rabbids until Mario Rabbids.
Yeah.
Except the French. I think it's really big in France.
Yes,
which is
the French
obviously
do
why
love
they
the
kept it
Rabbids. More so
Yeah,
than we
they
love
are.
Rayman, I believe. Which might be why we've not had a Rayman game in a long time.
Right,
Because no one
Well,
cares
well,
about the French.
Why Ubisoft got? Because isn't it the Paris team that do it?
Well, Ubisoft's a French company in general, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, we will be back
On-
tomorrow
on-
night discussing primarily the Xbox Bethesda showcase, but maybe some stuff on the future game show and the PC game show as well.
And there we go.
Yeah,
Thank you,
hope you've
thank you
enjoyed
very
this
much
and
indeed.
have stuck with us for the runtime. See you all soon, guys.
Goodbye.